Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to the September 12th, 2023 Parks and Recreation Advisory Board monthly meeting. My name is Don Hoyler. I am the Vice Chair of the board. Shri Kurtek is our chairperson. She's unable to attend today, so I will be leading the meeting. Encourage people to participate, to add comments and questions as we go through the agenda. The agenda has been published and circulated. Everyone should have a copy. So why don't we start with any additions to the agenda that anyone would like to raise? Or deletions, I think. I don't think we have deletions very often.
Nope.
Okay, should be good to go then. So we'll start. The first agenda item is the approval of minutes from our June 13th meeting. We did not meet in July and August, so everyone should also have a copy of those minutes from the June meeting. I know it's tough to remember from over the course of the summer if you've had a chance to review those. If anyone has any comments, questions, concerns with anything that's missing.
I do like how the you put the action for the advisory board and stuff like that on it with that highlighted, because I think that's important for, especially over the summer, not having
Right.
July and August. So
Yeah,
that certainly helped me reviewing it. So I appreciate Don.
Okay.
You
I think
those.
we've all been in meetings where people took actions and then they never get acted upon. So try to make a concerted effort to identify actions and list those under held items so that we review those each month. Okay, with no changes being requested, then we will accept those minutes. Next, we'll move into discussion topics, and we will start with the Penfield Trails Committee. So Bob Ansaldi is the lead of that committee. I'm also a participant, so I think between us we should probably be able to cover the topics.
I would think so.
Yeah. So we can start with guided hikes. So since the June meeting, we've had 3 guided hikes. In July, we hiked at Lucien Morin, which is a county park. Then in August, right, we had the hike was at Ellison Park, also a county park. And then this past Saturday, we hiked at Channing Philbrick Park. So the July hike at Lucien Morin, Bob, you want to comment on that?
I think we had around 15 people. Really wonderful hike. We ended up breaking up into 2 different groups, and one group went for a little bit longer all the way out to Browncroft, which was very interesting for people who had never been from Empire Boulevard all the way out to Browncroft. So that was good work. And then the rest of the people went the shorter route, basically only about 2.5 miles. But it was great weather. It was actually surprising it had rained a couple days before, but that park dries out very well, so it was real nice.
Yeah, for being a wetlands and for the torrential rain that we had, we were nervous, and it went really well. I think all told, the out and back portion to Glendoveer brought that hike to over 5 miles. So that was probably the longest that we'll do all year,
Right.
most likely.
What was that rated for boots for a 5 mile?
Probably a 4 boot. Our top.
4 out of 4. That's a good trail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really like that addition.
Couple spots where there were some trees down, and it was a little tricky in a few spots.
Yeah, so recently, just this year, because we've been doing the guided hikes for years through the Trails Committee, and the group came up with a rating system for each of our trails that they do the guided hikes for. So it's it's out of 4 boots.
Right.
So that is also published in our brochure seasonally as well. So that's awesome to have that for people.
We had a good group that was up to it. So in August, Richard Vaughn, a member of the Trails Committee, led that hike. And one comment we would make: people didn't all find it's listed as South Bloss, or it's listed as the south entrance. And even in our brochure, depending on where you look, you can see that the south entrance could be on Old Penfield Road or it could be on Blossom. And if you use Google Maps, it shows it on Blossom. Whereas obviously we know that the trailhead is at the top on Old Penfield Road. So I think before we put out the next updated brochure, we should look at clarifying that language somehow, and maybe on the Facebook page where people register.
Yeah, I think for the brochure, because I know this has been a couple of years of us looking at, the trailhead, and once that gets printed, people are, oh, which one do I go to? So I'm thinking for the brochure that I know you guys are currently working on for 2024, it might be easier if we just put the address and then say, go to, the website and or social media for the specific details. Because we'll have the contact information for the people, so anybody that does do the guided hike, as long as they pre-registered, we could communicate that information to them via phone or email. So I think that might be a nice update for you guys, because I know you're working on the 2024 schedule.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent suggestion. Anyway, but the hike itself, for those who made it, which I think was most people eventually did make it, turned out very well also. They had a good crowd. They covered a lot of ground. They went down, towards the tennis courts. They went up to that overlook, the trail up that way. They took the steep trail down along that ridge. So I think that was a pretty challenging hike the way they did it. So that one also was well received. And then this past Saturday, we did Channing Philbrick Park, which we call our Town of Penfield History Hike. So Kathy Knauer, the town historian, came and she kicked it off with about a 15, 20-minute discussion. She had pictures. Her husband was flipping through pictures, and she talked about the mills and Daniel Penfield and all, and so that was good. And then from there, that's sort of the middle of the Channing Philbrick Trail. So we did an out and back one way, and then out and back the other way. So that's a total of a little over 4 miles. All told, we took about 2.5 hours, so we kind of went over the 9 to 11 that we advertised.
That's great.
So again, and there were, I think, 19 hikers, 4 from the committee and 15 from the community. So I think we're getting good turnouts.
That's great.
And up in October is the Abraham Lincoln hike, which is always a fun but challenging hike. So,
That's another 4 boots.
yes. And then we'll start getting back into some of the easier ones.
Yeah, right. Just different conditions.
So we'll take an action to think about how best to present the Ellison Road, trailhead, and also we're working on our 2024 schedule. All right, moving through. Any questions on the guided hikes, anyone? Okay, the Nels Carmen Memorial Bench. Bob, you want to comment on that, please?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know Nels Carmen, who was the chairperson Trails Committee, plus worked for the Recreation Department, the deer program for many years. He passed away this
Spring.
I know it was sometime in the spring. So we are having a bench, a memorial bench put in. Well, Tim and his crew have put in the bench over at Shadow Pines, looking right next to the tree that Nels always liked to point out because he believed it was like 300 years old. So, and we got a nice little plaque.
We picked it up and we did install it.
Okay, so it's there, but we're working on the last piece to sort of a little bit of a ceremony in honor of him, and we're just trying to set a date. The couple of dates that have been suggested so far is after the next Trails Committee meeting, or his birthday, November 7th, but that's also Election Day, so we're wondering whether that makes sense or not. So, but once we figure that out, we'll get it advertised, and hopefully people can join us.
Yeah, that's a great memorial for a great person who did a lot for the community. So thank you for spearheading that.
Okay, the next item is Thousand Acre Swamp and Rothfuss Park Trail. So really, we talked about that in June, right? And the town has agreed to support that. The Thousand Acre Swamp property is a Nature Conservancy preserve. And I've talked to the preserve manager, and she understands that she has really the action to get funding, and 99% of the work is on their property. She did ask, I think she's probably obligated to ask, if the town would provide any funding, if we have any ability to issue any grants or anything along those lines. So I took the action to follow up on that. Andrew, I don't know if that's something.
Yeah, I mean, we
Candace,
can
if
always.
that's a question for the town board, perhaps?
I think
or-
we can start it with the rec department and parks, and then
Okay.
see what the numbers are going to look like, because we do have some things for the trails and for stuff like that. So depending on the number, of course, if it needs to go up to the board, we can always take it there.
Okay, so I don't think she's necessarily asking for us to fund all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to, contribute towards the cause, so to
And feel
speak.
free to, start to connect me into it,
Okay.
and I can assist from the town's behalf
All right.
for
I
that
will
start.
take the action to follow up with, her name is Allison.
Thank you.
And Ben raised a question about connecting the Thousand Acre Swamp to the Veterans Memorial Park, and, and then if you had that trail, then you'd be getting to Rothfuss, and you start to really put together a nice contiguous chain. So I don't know what you maybe were thinking there is exactly. But
Yeah, I mean, there's already a sidewalk that goes from Veterans up to the Thousand Acre Swamp, which is nice. But I was thinking, like, what if we made it an actual, like, named trail, and had maybe expand in other directions too, and just have like the North Penfield Trail that goes from one park to the next park, maybe have a route down into Shadow Pines. And I know it's that some of these trails themselves are getting out of the parks realm, maybe more into sidewalk. Who handles sidewalks? DOT? Is that?
It
Yeah,
depends
that's,
on the road,
yeah.
right?
Department of Public Works.
So I mean, it would involve other departments, but in the master plan, I think, would be like, make it so people could ride their bike from one to the other, or walk from one to the other, or go from some of these neighborhoods that are kind of like islands. There's some new neighborhoods either going up or up already on 250. There's some neighborhoods on Atlantic that are kind of just islands there. Some have a little bit of sidewalk, but where kids and parents could walk to their baseball game or ride their bike to the baseball practice instead of just having to take a car. So I think that was kind of the idea behind having something marked from Veterans up to Thousand Acre Swamp, that it's an actual trail, that it's, it would encourage people to walk. It would encourage people to go check it out and go from one park to the other and maybe make an afternoon out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
would that be in scope for the master plan?
Yeah, I know it's.
Even though it goes beyond parks, maybe, per se, but.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think in terms of trails and recreation connectivity, it's something that I know we've talked about at the Trails Committee meetings where, you look at all of our different trails at our parks, and the majority of them are loop. So you park at the parking lot, you go from there, you walk around, and you get back to that point, and you're at that park. But how do you connect to, it doesn't mean park to park or trail to trail, but even different parts of Penfield, how do you connect the Four Corners to the community center, to the school? So
Right.
I don't think that's too far out of scope. I agree that a lot of other departments are probably going to be involved with DPW, but in terms of the master plan, I think that that's a great topic to discuss and to bring up. So it's perfect timing for the master plan committee.
and I have like studied the town maps trying to figure out how to do what you were.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a few gaps here and there, and how could we do it? I'm not sure that Nature's Conservancy would let you do bikes through Thousand Acre Swamp, but that's a,
Yeah, it would have.
But even if it was just like a generic town map, and this goes hand in hand with us talking about even updating our current trails to maybe be more shared use trails rather than just, that walk around circle
Yeah.
with no bikes, and knowing that there's a mountain bike course with that potential in Shadow Pines, sort of doing a whole update for that kind of stuff for the trail. So I think it's great timing for it.
Right.
Don't have answers for it because I'm
Yeah.
sure if Bob's looked into it and he hasn't found out how to do it yet, it might take some
Yeah.
some more people. But
It seems to me that a few years ago, they looked at bike paths and connecting, was that ever documented anywhere?
that was part of the master plan.
Oh, that is part of it, okay.
I don't know the years, and I have them all. I can look into it, but they did have a transportation committee look into that. And I do know a couple people that were on it, so I can touch base with them and see if we can get some more info. But
I mean, because if you drive from 250 down Atlantic, you cross, or you go by probably 4 or 5 different isolated little neighborhoods, and I I hesitate to ride my bike on Atlantic. I wouldn't necessarily send my kids alone to baseball practice, riding their bikes down Atlantic. So I mean, maybe we approach it that way, kind of a mix between trails going in between parks and trails going, like designated areas along Atlantic, marked areas along Atlantic, or another route. Someone draw the route, I guess, and approach it that way. So how does it go from here to the next committee?
I think for the master plan, as I'm going to touch base, later, that we're starting up this fall, those sort of topics, and that was kind of the thought for having this committee as well, is to have more ideas and not just be the master plan committee that comes with it, but a lot of different people looking at it. So I can totally, I know we have multiple representatives.
So at a minimum,
from it.
someone from this board will be a liaison to that, and people can actively participate too, I imagine.
Yep.
So, we'll track it here as an action
Right.
and make sure that the liaison brings it to the,
Right.
to that.
And the master plan's really that five-year look into, not just 5 years, but, you plan for the 5 years until the next update, looking at the long term. And I definitely think this is something that, isn't going to happen by next year, but is perfect for the master plan, for that long-term planning of, maybe do a section at this time and things like that. And the master plan would give the recreation department, the parks department, and the town the ability to have that long-term planning from that committee, so.
So I think a good start would be from, if I can get the contact information from you, Don, for the Nature Conservatory, what's her name?
Allison Agresta.
If I can get the information for her, I can contact her, because to start, if we do this for Office Park to Thousand Acre Swamps entrance, if we're involved with that, and then realistically, all we would need to do is, because I have some other questions about the driveway getting into,
Sure.
if they own it or if it's an easement type deal, because there is a private house there also. And then we would have to take action to the Transportation Committee that would, for a crosswalk to go over to that little stub that leads to Veterans.
Right.
So that's I think that would be a good start.
Right.
I can bring that to Eric Tate's attention. He's our Director of Public Works, and he's on the Transportation Committee, to see if they can mention about putting a crosswalk from Thousand Acre Swamp to that stub that leads into Veterans.
Right.
So I couldn't find a copy in resolutions, but I had thought we had already approved certain funding for the Thousand Acre Swamp connection to the Rothfuss Park
Yeah,
Trail.
so what we approved was just the trailhead connection to Rothfuss, which is, as Tim will say, rather trivial.
Yes.
So the vast majority of the work to build this new trail, it's about a 1 mile trail that doesn't exist today within the
Okay.
Nature Conservancy Preserve, they would need to fund. And so they're wondering if the town has any funding available to offset what they're looking at doing.
And I recall at least some conversation with the town supervisor and the town board already to go ahead and allocate some funding. And I think
Yep.
there was some, Debbie was having conversations with the Nature Conservancy of how much they're looking for, but I know that we had already, as a prelim matter, said okay.
Okay.
So,
So-
and I, of course, can't remember the one that was,
Right.
I couldn't find it in an email. But
I can't remember if there was a dollar amount
Yeah.
attached to it.
But we were definitely supportive of it, so I don't think there's an action item pending the board. It
No,
would
there
just-
isn't currently.
Okay.
That's
I
correct.
think it's just communicating with, to see
Yeah.
what their expectations are on the town's end.
It was a new ask from them. When we went back to them and say, yeah, our town board has approved, doing the work on
Okay.
the town side, she said, okay, great, I'll bring us to the Nature Conservancy leadership and request the funding to do the work. Said, by the way, is there any funding available to offset our costs?
Yeah,
So that's a new ask.
That's,
all.
okay, so,
Can I ask a question? Has the Nature Conservancy gone through the exercise of sort of pricing out what it's going to look like?
I don't know.
and-
She
Okay.
hasn't shared that with me
Okay.
if they have. Everyone knows, people looked at it, I think, several years ago, probably before her.
Okay.
So I don't know if there was ever any record in their own records. And I don't know how their machine works. they're a big business.
Fair enough.
If you look at
Yeah.
TNC, they're global.
Yeah.
They're big.
And there was already a footpath from what was discussed before. It's just not,
And
it's already been there, and now it's like, hey, obviously people are using this, or they're struggling through this. What can we do to connect these two? And that's what
That's right.
originally went to the board. And
Yeah.
it got that approval of, yes, we should be doing this, to get approval for it. But now I
That's right.
think the funding side of it, it's the next step.
Okay.
It would be good to know, because I think our budget talks are currently in the
Yeah.
works, you know,
Yes.
Yes,
so.
that's why I was saying,
Just
check
tell
with
us how much-
recreation, and we'll look
Yep.
at it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
add me on that email.
I will.
Thank you.
I will. Sounds good. Okay, next one is the Channing Philbrick Park Trail Bridge. And so maybe I'll defer to you. on
So I
that
know,
one,
I
Tim.
forget how long ago it was because the summer's been crazy. Eric, Tate, and I came to a board meeting or a work session, and we presented the ideas, the numbers to the town board. And I believe they were in support of us going out to bid for that bridge project. So we just have to write up a bid package, specs, and all that stuff, and then send it out to bid.
Okay, so we received from the ICM, was that the name of the
Yes,
company? Something like
yep. That was just ballpark figures, and I know Candace
Right.
had some questions about the railings, and that's something that we can, yes, that's something we can build into the
Okay.
build specs on.
So they
what
came
stuff.
back with a ballpark figure and of cost and
Yes.
scope?
Yes.
And we've determined that's good, and we're going to go forward
Yes.
and bid that
And see what
out?
the bid, well, send it out to bid and see what they come back with.
What's the time frame for putting that out to bid, did you say?
Before the end of the year, I would
Okay.
hope.
So the question is it, Candace, is the town board ready to fund it? Is it like going to be in the budget for next year, or?
I think the funding wasn't,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah, it was already allocated.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
the
not an
funding's not
issue.
the issue, it's just getting the specs together
Okay.
and,
For the bid.
yes, for the bid
Yeah.
opening.
Yeah.
When would we envision, and if everything went well, would it be like next summer construction season?
Spring, I would hope.
Yeah.
Spring, summer,
So
so
if-
2024.
For sure.
construction
Yeah,
season?
2024 construction, because from the talks with the company, it's harder for them to work in the wintertime.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so springtime would be a better option for whoever wins the bid. And that would line up perfectly with the, hopefully line up perfectly with the Spring Lake Park trail connection.
Yeah, so when we did our hike last Saturday, at the Spring Lake end, Parrington is actively extending their trail to reach our trail.
Yep.
There was a backhoe and there was construction ribbons and, they were working along the bank. Or they weren't
Yep.
working on Saturday, but it was clear that,
And that turned around pretty quick from what I
Okay.
heard. I think it was just an
Yeah.
extra project that I think we even pushed from the Trails Committee
For
over the
years.
last couple of years, where we
Long
were
time.
digging in a little bit like, hey, why aren't we connecting this? So it's nice to hear that all these things are
yeah.
working
Yeah,
together
so I
and
don't know
hopefully
if
line
we
up.
liaison to Parrington at all, or if we even need to, but, that work is going. So, with that connection, you can now go from, the Parrington Crescent Trails all the way to the bay, with a little bit of sidewalk in a couple spots. So from a connectivity, that's a really nice, long hike now.
Where would you connect to Allison?
Go up,
So
go
you-
up the hill and then come in
Yeah.
from Penfield Road?
So where Scoops is, that's about almost a mile on the sidewalk to that trailhead on Old Penfield Road. But then from there, you can go all the way to the bay.
But
There is town property, like, to the left of RIT's property that also goes into Ellison, I believe,
to the east?
to the west. I think there's farm there now, but I'm pretty sure it's town property.
I mean, I know that the Trails Committee, we did a hike around that area to talk about, and that was more to the east and the north, but that could be something we could look into through that master plan connectivity.
Right.
I know-
I'm not sure about what the town owns over there.
Yeah, I know the old master plan called for potentially having the trail go through what is the RIT property, and RIT has made it extremely clear that's not happening,
Yeah.
non-negotiable.
We'll look at the map. I'm pretty sure it says Town of Penfield on the parcel right next to it.
Okay.
I plan on following up with Parrington Parks and Rec about the connectivity to Channing Philbrick. I don't mind working with Carrie Ivers, our developmental services, just to have her look into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm sure
But-
she'd be happy to see what.
But
that is.
regardless of the route, I hope you're right that we can find a way.
That'd
But
be an
even if we
easier
get a
route,
sidewalk,
yeah.
that idea of a named path trail,
Yeah.
maybe call it the Penfield,
South.
well, Penfield or Underquoit Creek Trail or something.
Right.
Going all the way from Spring Lake all the way to the bay would be amazing.
Yeah.
It looks like maybe it'd be like a 12-mile one-way hike.
Yeah, and that'd be checking off something that's been on the Trails Committee since probably day one about that connection to Arundecoit. So,
Yeah.
cool.
You could, have,
Very
you
nice.
could even have LaSalle being the end point, right?
Well, and of course, if you go the other way, there's a problem with Browncroft and the bridge, but you can go up through Tryon.
Right.
And then the Tryon to Bay West also,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So that's another long leg that you could tie into
Yeah.
pretty easily. All right, very good. Penfield Parks update. So Eagle Scout projects. So Chris McCusker is here. And I think he's here to talk about a project that's now complete. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris McCusker. You may remember me from the April Recreation Advisory Committee meeting where I presented my project proposal. Tonight, I would like to share with you the final project and a little bit about how we completed it. The original scope of the project was to build a pedestrian bridge crossing the creek at the 4 Mile Creek Park that was accessible to all, including those with mobility limitations. The park is on right off of 250 between Northrop Road and Allen Road. The bridge is a short walk along the trail towards the south side of the park. If you remember from my last presentation, initially we were planning on constructing a wooden and steel bridge. Although after considering some constructability and safety concerns, I was concerned with the weight of the bridge and the steel and the safety of carrying it into the park. We did some field survey to see if we could shorten the span and determined that we could build the bridge using lumber and approach ramps. Originally, again, we planned on using steel beams to support the bridge, as steel is much stronger than wood, allowing us to use a greater span. However, after completing field survey, we found that we were able to reduce the span, but it required us to add approach ramps. So that did add a little bit more work, but it did eliminate the safety and construction concerns with the steel. For the foundations, we dug 2 post holes on each side of the creek, 48 inches into the ground. 2 of the posts were dug by hand with post hole diggers that the town provided to us, while the other 2 were dug by a skid steer that had a post digging attachment. When the post holes were dug, we set the 6x6 posts into the ground with concrete. After completing the foundations, we were able to attach the frame of the bridge to the foundations. We added stiffeners to the joists for extra support. From there, we were able to use a nail gun to nail the deck boards into the bridge frame. After that, we bolted the prefabricated railings to the side of the bridge. In the final touches, we added 2 approach ramps to the bridge, as the finished deck was a bit higher than the trail elevation. The slope on one of the ramps is 1:12, whereas the other is flat. When that was done, we sanded the bridge and finished ground grading with some topsoil and stone that the town provided. In the end, I had a total of about 15 helpers. 8 were scouts that varied in age from new scout to other Eagle Scout candidates. There were 3 registered BSA leaders, and there were 4 adults and parents. A total of about $1,280 was spent, and around 160 hours were put into completing this project. In the end, I was very happy with how the bridge came out, and I hope you are as well. I really appreciate all the help and support Mr. Masterton and Mr. Erkfitz provided. Are there any questions?
fantastic job.
Looks great.
Oh, looks amazing.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
only a benefit to the community, but a benefit to you personally. I think these skills will serve you
Yeah.
well. Nice job.
Thank you.
So I do have to ask a curiosity question. What were the bugs like when you were
Oh,
building?
they were crazy. Although we did use a bug fogger, and we fogged around the work site, so
Built a little character then, too.
yeah.
And from Tim and my perspective, you did everything, and you did a phenomenal job. Always well prepared and very well communicated for a project of this scope. To get it done in the timeline that you did is unheard of. So kudos to you, to your troop,
Thank you.
and everybody involved, because this is going to be a project that is going to last for a long time and help that trail. And I'm hoping now that this is established, we've talked about potentially doing an unveiling or maybe even a ribbon cutting at 4 Mile Creek. So this might be a nice tie-in to the Eagle Scout project. So we can work with the Trails Committee for that. But great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, save those blueprints so you can pass them down to other people. So we can get better bridges like that around town too.
Yeah.
Very good job.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Shadow Pines Disc Golf Course update. So I know, Tim, you've done a whole lot of work
Yeah.
there, and Steve is a frequent player and has
Yes.
a lot of information about how the course is being used, so.
Steve, you want to take it away?
If you want, I
Go ahead.
took some notes here. I don't want to steal any of your
No,
thunder, though.
It's your
because,
thunder. You can take it.
So I think to start, I'm going to give you some thunder back because I think your team has done a phenomenal job with the upkeep of the course and the really kind of preserving a balance between the trail system, the scenic natural beauty of the course, and the disc golf players. And you guys are always very respectful of us playing out there, and I hope the players are respectful of you guys. But it's been a pleasure working with you and being able to play on this course. Some things that are really significant that Tim and his team has done, finished all the tee boxes, putting a nice surface down for all the tee surfaces. And in many holes, there's the 3 tee boxes. So there's 3 different course layouts. So it was not a trivial amount of work to get that done. All the holes have signage now on them that kind of outline where the hole is and the distance and the markings, et cetera. They've added a second practice basket, which is really helpful because not only is it a practice basket for guys like me who need it a lot, but a lot of families are up there playing around with their little kids and just kind of doing a little mini golf excursion, which is really very cool. Again, the course management is phenomenal. The mowing and the upkeep of the course, it looks like a regular golf course in a lot of areas. It's kind of all come back. It's just very beautiful. And a lot of the dead branches and dead trees, there's a lot of still ash trees out there that need to go and have been marked accordingly, but you guys have cleaned out many of those and even reacted to some dangerous situations after some storms where some branches have come down, and they were out there the next day cleaning them out of there, which has been fantastic. And then some seeding and mulching around the tee boxes, really kind of cleaning it up so they don't get too muddy and messy on some bad conditions. So overall, the physical nature of the course is just in excellent shape. To that point, it's very busy. We're finding some really interesting amount of play that's happening there. If you go there on any given afternoon or even on the weekend, you'll find people playing out there on every hole. There was one day that I was out there that there were 12 kids playing on preteens, I shouldn't call them kids, but all playing together and having a great time and just having a blast. So that's the kind of thing that I love to see. It's not just old guys like me that are spending some of my retirement time playing, but you've got families and you've got young kids that are really enjoying the course. Had a recent tournament there, the American Flying Disc Open. It's a silver series for the disc golf community and the pro circuit. It had an amateur weekend and then a pro weekend, and the reviews from the pros were just very, very positive about how the course was laid out and the challenges of the course and the beauty of the course as well. It's really ahead in terms of many of the other courses around town here in terms of playage. We've got probably the statistic that I've seen here is that it's about a 30% increase in players at Shadow Pines over what people who were playing at Ellison Park, which was one of the big courses in the area. So you're really starting to see a significant uptick of people that are playing there. The disc golf community has added a lockbox for people who have lost discs, which is a great feature because a lot of times when a disc gets lost, you try to return it to somebody, you stash it somewhere, and they come back and it's gone. So now with the lockbox, we've got 4 of us are stewards that maintain that box and to call the people, because usually people will put their name and number on the disc so you can return it and arrange for it. Over 50 discs have been returned in probably the last month already, which has been fantastic
That's
because
amazing.
they're between $10 and $20 a disc. So they don't go cheap. And a lot of guys like me have our favorite disc that you don't want to lose that. So that's been fantastic. There's a course layout and kiosk now that's been set up on the first tee box. It gives you a really nice idea of where the course is kind of laid out throughout the park, and also will help kind of post new information about things that are upcoming for the area. Some of the local disc golf community has taken upon themselves to gone a little bit further than what the town needed to do. They've dug up the sand traps and kind of weeded those out. They put out-of-bounds markings in. They put some really short tee boxes for some of the younger players, so that, or tee markings, I should say, that relate to some course mappings on U-disc for really young players. Let's see. I think to that point too, there's a few people that I wanted to kind of mention here formally that have done a lot of work to enhance the course and the playability of the course. Jason Phelps, who's the kind of the course advocate, the primary person that I think Tim and the board has worked with, has done a phenomenal job just kind of keeping things moving along there. John Kelly, who is a Penfield resident, he's the keeper of the lockbox. He's returned probably 70 or 80% of those discs to the people directly or posted them on the Facebook group. John Raffa, I see him out there a lot of times kind of trolling the ponds, pulling out discs and returning them to people. He also organizes a lot of disc tournaments for folks and is well known in the community around here. He's done a lot of work out there. Erica Apple, she's developed a specialized rake that will troll the bottom of a pond and pull up all the discs that are at the bottom of the pond, which has been very helpful for hole number 13. That captures a lot of discs. Andy Holtz, another Penfield resident, lockbox keeper, and just another person that's really kind of helped with the community, organizing events, et cetera. Brad Frommer, who owns Frommer Woods, another course out in Williamson area. He actually made the lockbox for us and installed that and put that up for the course, which has been very helpful. And then Dave Kopp, who really has done a lot of work in terms of marking the course, organizing the course, organizing the events, building the tee boxes, getting the construction materials for those. And those guys have really put a lot of effort in to making sure that this course has been very successful. And it is, and I will tell you as a longtime Penfield resident, to have something this nice and this fun to use with very low cost but very well maintained is just a super huge benefit. And I appreciate it, my friends appreciate it, and the disc golf community appreciates what the town, Tim and the team and the town board have done. So thank you very much.
It's a great update. Steve, I wonder, especially about the lockbox, I wouldn't have known, but it sounds like just really a nice thing to do, you know, and it's,
Yep.
I don't want to call it like an actual town service because it's not from
No,
the
it's-
town, you know.
Yeah,
but
it's run through the disc golf club.
But that's
Yes.
really neat,
Yes.
and I think it's just a really nice, like,
Yes.
contribution, act of kindness. I don't know what you want to
Yes.
call it, you know, but I think it's worth like highlighting on the town, through town communications, town website, and kind of we do various staff highlights. But I think this is just something done by the community for the community
Yep.
that I think is really nice. I wonder if we can have kind of like your write-up, we can share it with our communications team and then get it up. And then I think for other disc golf players, it's good to know.
Sure,
right?
yeah, and I wish they had this at other courses
I
because
was
like
just
I
going to
said,
ask if
you
they
know,
do that anywhere else.
I have not seen it on the courses that I play, but I don't play a lot of courses
Right.
around town here. I'm
Yeah.
a stuck in Penfield guy. I'm very, still not very good. But the lockbox itself, I've had discs that have, like I said, I've stashed at a place at Ellison Park, and you know, within 10 minutes, somebody saw me stash it and has taken it, right? And they're worth something. People turn them into some of the local sports shops for used disc resale.
So for the ones that don't have names on their discs, if they know that we
Right.
have this.
So what we
Lost
do
and
with that,
found. I don't know
well,
what to
we
call
post
it.
those on Facebook, right? So John has done a
Okay.
great job. Anything that doesn't have a name, that's the other thing. If you're a disc golfer and you find a disc with no name on it, you could stash it in your bag. But if there's a box there, people will drop it in the box.
Yeah, I think it's just
And
good
we've already
to-
returned a lot of those unmarked
Yeah.
discs to people, which has been helpful. So
that's
it's
cool.
great service.
Yeah, so, I mean, you've done a lot of the write-up, I think we can just share it, but if there's anything you need from me, I'm happy to help. But we can kind of facilitate that.
Yeah. So again,
Yeah.
I didn't want to take anything away from Tim here, but
Very well said. That's all.
Very well said about the
Very well
part,
said.
not taking credit away from you.
Everything.
I love seeing these guys out there
Yeah.
too. We have a great time talking with them, and the guys are so friendly and so kind, and they do a great job.
No, the one story that I had is just real quick that we were doing work before that last tournament, and we were just at the beginning of hole number 2, trimming some bushes, the overhanging bushes, and I usually ask them like, hey, what do you think about the course? Where are you from? They said they were from Canada, so
Yeah.
they came down from Canada for the tournament,
Yep.
specifically for that. So it's just interesting to see the amount of people coming from out of town.
Oh, by the way, there's a tournament there this weekend. I forgot to mention. It's the New York State Championships regional qualifier. So Shadow Pines and Parma are splitting time both Saturday and Sunday. So there'll be a lot of people out there playing. So if you're interested in kind of seeing what this is all about, stop on by. I hope the parking lot is too full that you can't stop in, but if you get a chance, you might want to swing by. Or, yeah, bike on in.
Yeah, and I think we could tie that into what Candace was talking about as well, because I know I talked with Chris Tanay about highlighting that event, because that's a pretty big event.
Yes.
You know, I believe it's a state event,
Yes,
correct?
state,
So I
it's
think
a
that's
regional
pretty
championship.
great
yep.
for Shadow Pines to just, kudos to Tim again for completing all the work. And this was the date we were kind of targeting to make sure all the tee boxes and everything was in by. So great for you to get
beautiful.
it in, but having a
it's a-
state tournament in the first year, I think just shows what a great
It's rated in the
feature
top
we have.
15 courses in New York State already,
Yeah.
which there's a lot of courses in New York State that are some pretty nice areas. So kudos to the town. I am so happy that you worked so quickly and did such a phenomenal job in laying this out, and it's just a super positive thing.
Yeah, and the people you mentioned, speaking to about Jason and David, but since day one, the entire organization has been wonderful to work with. Always just, hey, what can we do better for the community? So it's wonderful to work with organizations like that are very community focused and not really internal at all. It's all just, okay, what can we do? We have the volunteers. Let's get out there and make this the best possible. So I know they assisted and worked with Tim a lot more, but great people to work with.
Easy to work with.
So at this point, is all the work done, short of now it's just a maintenance effort?
So
Or
it's up to maintenance. I know after the tournament, we were going to go redo some of the site work around some of the tee boxes because they just create holes. It's going to be an ongoing thing. There's a lot of trees that we have to take down, still dead ash trees along hole number 1 that we are planning on replacing next spring with new fresh trees and working with Jason Phelps to help impact the course and stuff like that. So we are taking down dead and dying trees, but replacing them with new.
It feels like maintenance.
Yeah, it's maintenance. Yeah.
I think the plan now as well is putting up more permanent signs, letting people who are entering from the different areas of Shadow Pines, not just from the parking lot, about, flying discs up
Yes.
here and looking at kiosks as well. So I know that's that next phase of, we have stake signs up there, but getting a little bit more permanent signs up there because, this will be around for a while.
The walking trails kind of weave through the disc
Yes.
golf area, right? So I think that one thing that I have been, and I tell this to all my co-players, is respect the walkers. If people are walking on the trail, hold up, let them walk by, don't rush them. We got plenty of time. We don't have people breathing down our neck for any of that kind of stuff. So let the walkers enjoy the park and enjoy the beauty. And then it seems to have worked out pretty well so far. So
Yeah, we've taken our 2-year-old daughter there for walks and everything over the almost twice a week there, maybe sometimes on weekends, and we haven't had a problem yet. And she's running around like a banshee, so no problems.
Just 2 years old, right?
Almost. Well,
there you
she's
go.
going to be 2 this weekend. So yeah.
I did want to mention, talking about the trails, I know from the Trails Committee as well, we've met with disc golf, and the plan is to come up with a formal trail system at Shadow Pines, but we wanted to wait until, more of the mountain biking, the potential pickleball, a lot of those potentially larger projects get set up, and then we'll work on the trail system. So for now, it's all cart path and walking paths that Tim mows. And we've got the cross-country course coming up this week. But there will be a plan to have more structured trails in there, and then again, adding the connectivity to other places. That'll be a piece that we look at as Shadow Pines being kind of centrally located.
Yeah, sounds
You know, often the Trails Committee we have one hike each year that is outside of Penfield. So this year is at Gosnell Big Woods up in Webster. One of the reasons I sort of want to go there is that is one of the best marked trail systems. They've just got great signs, great maps. So I want people to see that because I want to encourage that for some of our parks.
Will the course have to be reconfigured for the proposed pickleball area, or does it not go up that far?
I don't think there's any conflict at all. I think there's plenty of distance between
From the
them.
newest proposed pickleball thing, no, because the only hole that would affect was the white tees on 5, or the blue, whatever the farthest one is.
Oh, yeah,
the
okay,
longest one.
all the way down.
Yes,
yeah.
but now, right now, if you drove past Shadow Pines right now, you're heading south on Whalen, you look to your right, we have the area mode for the pickleball area, so it doesn't conflict with anything right now.
Cool.
nice.
And I think me personally, I've learned a lot from this committee about the usage and other uses of Shadow Pines, like disc golf, because I don't think I knew previously with a lot of the Shadow Pines conversations, and try to balance a lot of the activity groups and recreation has been really helpful for me. So thank you all.
Excellent.
And,
I was
you know,
gonna say, we gotta get a disc golf 101 or beginners disc golf rec program.
So we've already been in communications
People
with
can
them.
know how to use
Our
it.
focus was to get the course done first
Yeah.
for the state tournament, and this weekend the state tournament, and then 2024 we're definitely going to be doing rec programming.
There you go.
Yeah.
I
Actually,
don't want
it's
to say to everyone,
segues.
but I think the Parks Department is getting a tutorial for all the hard work. They're getting a one-on-one session with the disc golf group to show them the kind of the fruits of their labor for playing and participating. But the plan is to have rec programming for it, you know, mainly for myself as well.
Yeah, right.
Steve, you can lead it. I mean, I think it
Oh, no, you
segues.
don't. No.
And
Much better
before
players than me.
before the Shadow Pines course while it was getting developed, we did have programs over at Harris Whalen Park that Rochester Disc Golf did. So it's really just us moving the location. But yes, I totally
There's a
agree.
lot of
It's
people
going to
that-
be a wonderful programming through that, and maybe even have some, you know, leagues and town stuff like that as well.
Yeah,
I know they
that-
already have leagues, but
Yep.
have a little bit more beginner league stuff like that.
I know that there's, the guys that I talk to are always very anxious to get other people engaged and happy to help, and, you know, especially with the younger kids, right? Giving them an idea of how to play and, you know, how to properly throw it. It's not just a Frisbee, it's a disc, and, you know, and that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
anyway, as a personal side note too, I got my first hole-in-one this year too.
At Shadow Pines?
At Shadow Pines.
Now we got to change that hole.
Hole number 4 on the red
number
tee, so
4.
it's really short, you know, and wide open. So it was an easy one, relatively speaking,
have
but
to
I
buy-
Give
got
yourself
one.
credit.
So I got
Give
one.
yourself credit.
You have to buy drinks for everyone then? Isn't that what happens? when you-
So I bought, I bought some stuff for the guys I was golfing with. Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice.
it may be too late for this weekend, but I would encourage, you know, if we're having big tournaments, like put a big sign out, you know,
Yeah.
home of the New York State Championships out at the corner of Atlantic and Wayland.
Oh, yeah.
So the residents realize that that's being used for things like that. So.
Yeah, I think it's just greater visibility,
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
As part of the just overall Shadow Pines conversation, and it's just good PR, I think, for the town, right? It's pretty, it's neat.
The park
So,
is being used, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's not just.
Not just by
one
2-year-olds, you
single-
know?
Yeah, it's not just a field that's being mowed that's beautiful,
I
but.
believe it was crazy
people are out there.
hectic 2-year-olds.
yeah,
Is that
that's
what
neat.
Like a banshee.
Yeah, I think definitely it'll probably take, I think we can probably get it up in a day or so, right? At least with Chris. It'll go through normal channels for approval.
For
but-
an A-frame, you're saying?
No,
No,
even
for
on
the
the
website,
website,
yeah.
social
Oh, yeah,
media.
yeah.
I mean, the A-frame may take a little bit longer, and I don't know how quickly that can get done, but
I don't quote me on this, but I know it's been talked with the communications. It may
Okay.
already be on the website,
Okay.
to be honest, because I know this was one that we
I didn't see it on the
focused
website.
on for a while But either way, I can follow up with Chris.
Yeah.
And get the
Yeah.
info on there.
Neat. Cool.
Well, thank you for the time.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, moving on. The next item on the agenda is Shadow Pines cross-country running and skiing trails maintenance. I'm not sure that really represents accurately the thought that you had. This came from Ben.
Yeah, I mean, first I was curious how the cross country trails came about, and I believe that a cross country club does the trails at Shadow Pines now, right? It used to be the school,
Yes.
now it's a club that does it.
Yes.
Okay.
You can.
No, go ahead.
Me? All right.
Yeah.
So in the past, for the skiing, the school district would use it, and they have their own machine, and it did both the two sets of trails. And this past year, their machine broke down, so that merged into the Rochester cross-country skiing group, and they were able to bring out a machine. Unfortunately, I don't think it was used more than once or twice, just because by the time it got all situated, there wasn't enough snow for them to do it at all. But I believe that's what we're planning on doing this year, is we store the, all the equipment. I think it's still the school's trailer
Yeah,
that does the.
it's the school's groomer, the roller, and everything, all the attachments that go on to the sled, but the sled is the club's sled.
And then
It's just a snowmobile, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a volunteer from that group that would go and do it basically whenever they feel it being appropriate, but also mainly for school use during the day. And then once they're groomed, anybody can go out there and use them.
Right.
Is that exclusively Shadow Pines then, or would they use that equipment in any of the other parks?
So right now it's just Shadow Pines because they store it in the old cart barn.
Oh, okay.
So, and I know that we've talking to the person, I forget what the gentleman's name was, but they like having the sled on site to groom, so instead of trailering stuff
Oh, yeah,
around,
sure.
that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, currently it's only at Shadow Pines
Okay.
for now, but I'm sure once this gets established, if we're able to do it other places, I know they wanted to do as much as possible, and we're happy to have something a little bit more on the east side, because I think Mendon Ponds was another big place that they did, and I don't think they had too many other places around Penfield or this side of town.
And that sounds like something for the master plan also, some concepts there. And to further that, we were talking just before this, if it became more of a winter multi-use trail for the fat tires and for snowshoes, obviously you don't want people on the cross-country trails. We know how that's received.
Right.
Has that ever been discussed?
I think there is a sign
Yeah,
that we put up that says stay off the
Yes,
skiing trails
There's a sign right
during their season.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's no dedicated trails or anything like that for snowshoeing or things like that at this point. I think that might tie into the.
But yeah, I mean, maybe
trails.
we could consider or propose something like that for a master plan where maybe the town takes over or does a separate type of maintenance, like do the big loop around Rofus where snowshoes and bikes and skis can go on. It's not necessarily for the ski competitions, but something more of a general use and encourage snowshoeing and the fat bikes. I know me and a couple of friends would kind of rough it with our fat tire bikes, and it's tough to do without something groomed, but both Shadow Pines and Rofus are really cool places to do it, especially when you go down into the south end of Shadow Pines and go through the actual like tunnel of pines, and it's really cool, and you get more use of the parks in the winter. If the trails are beaten down, then people on even the small snowshoes can have a nice afternoon or a morning walk or something like that.
Yeah, I think
Sherwood's a nice park for that too. Actually, that would be a good one.
And this might even tie in with our new connection with Grok, with the mountain biking trails, because I'm sure, those trails will want to have that kind of connection from the parking lot to get to that kind of southwest part of the Shadow Pines
Right.
property. So it might even be something
Yeah.
that they could help out with as well.
Yeah, well, and the good part of that, the winter trails is they're somewhat temporary and malleable, and you find the best route and see what works, and if it doesn't work, then wait till it snows again.
Cool.
Okay. Does that address your question?
Yeah.
Before we leave parks, Tim, anything you want to add? Any other?
Just running through a couple things that we did over the last couple months. The Independence Day celebration, we took care of all the fence, the barricades, the no parking signs, that kind of stuff. We're going all the way back to end of June for that one.
Yep.
New planters for the four corners, we put that out there. We built a new path to the children's garden at the Penfield Victory Garden, so now there's a path that leads back to the children's end of it. Replaced a lot of the safety mulch with the playgrounds. We worked with the school a little. They needed a field painted on the double. They were running a camp, so we took our new robotic painter over there. We painted it for them in 20 minutes. So shared services there.
I watched that one day at Greenwood.
cool.
Marking the.
It's the coolest thing.
It is. It was really
It's the
cool.
coolest thing.
And it saves
Saves
so
so much
much labor
time.
and headaches, and
Yes.
being able to get onto the fields in April and early May, where we usually had to wait when it was raining and wet, just because the weight of the previous one and the weight of the person that sits on top to do the lining was way more than I think. I don't want to call anybody out for weight or anything, but this is, an eighth of it. And I mean, being able to go on that is super huge for all of our sports groups and for Tim and his staff to not have to wait and then compress their busy spring schedule. So
That's good to know, because that was really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Worth every penny.
I think it'll
Okay.
pay for
Worth every
it'll
penny.
pay for itself.
Yes.
Soon.
Yes. Worth every penny.
Just in late,
Put a video of that.
no, just
I think
in like
when that
labor
resolution
costs.
came, I was like,
Yeah.
what are they thinking?
Yes.
If you want
Is it a
to use it, I'm
BMW?
sure Tim
Right.
can give you
Yeah.
a walkthrough of it. It's pretty cool. It's all
Yes.
on.
No, I went to go see this thing.
Oh,
I
okay.
wanted to know
Yes.
Yeah.
why it costs so much.
Right. And not, well, obviously, there's been Penfield Youth Football.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
moved everything over to Harris Whalen Park. We were in a bind. We had to build a football field right away. Click, boom. An hour, 2 hours later, a full football field's painted with all the hash marks, numbers, that kind of thing.
How long was that taken before the machine?
I couldn't even
Multiple
tell you.
days?
Probably a whole day
No,
with
I think
multiple
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, and
Anyway,
then
cool.
we were doing a lot of work in August down at the Little League, revamping some of the baseball fields that have been neglected as far as cutting out lips and redoing that kind of stuff.
Nice. Busy. Thank you.
Very busy.
Okay, moving on to the recreation update.
So I'll fly through recreation stuff, and it doesn't mean that we weren't completely busy over the summer, because it was a wonderful summer. But we really saw increased enrollment across the board this summer. Our aquatic swim lessons, this was the first time we had summer swim lessons since 2019, just due to COVID and access to the pool. They were very well received, very happy that we have them back. So really just kudos to our aquatic staff for coming back and start teaching those swim lessons. We've heard rave reviews for all the staff. One thing that came out of it is our summer camp. We've had 7 weeks for many years now. We're looking at huge wait list numbers, which I've mentioned at previous meetings. We're hoping to add an extra week next year, so it bridges that closer gap to the school year for a lot of parents that are in need of that. We're also looking at a potential additional location to support those waitlist needs. Obviously, this is all based on location availability, where it may be a lodge or a school, and it's also based on staffing as well. But those are at least what we're planning for, because we see those needs. But just a really awesome summer for camp, and can't say enough about our aquatics and camp staff. For our fall recreation program, our registration began in August of 2023. We have a huge amount and a wide variety of DEAR, which is daytime education at recreation programming, which is during the day. We're expanding hopefully into more virtual and nighttime and weekend offerings. They're also doing a lunch counter, which is, show up, you can order sandwiches and things like that. We're still testing out the various days of the week. Traditionally, it was Tuesdays, Thursdays. We may be able to add some. We're kind of testing out this September and then come up with more of a structure based on what we see for needs. Another thing towards our fall recreation, our August revenue report shows that we just reached over $700,000 in revenue. So we haven't been over 700,000 in decades. Does that mean that, costs have gone up for COVID and inflation and stuff like that? Sure. But I definitely think the enrollment numbers support what our recreation department and staff and really community are showing coming out of COVID is these recreation programs are a huge thing that people are enrolling in. So I can't say enough for the recreation staff being able to offer these wide variety of programs that obviously are interesting to the Penfield community. So that's only August, and we're at 707,000. Last year, we ended the year at 667. So we're already way ahead of the game with 3 months to go. I will say, as much as the revenue's gone up, we had to go to town board this past meeting and ask for a whole heck of a lot of expense money to make up for the revenue, being able to pay our instructors and increase costs. But it's definitely a good problem to have with the revenue coming in and our expenses able to support it. So again, just thank you to the recreation staff. For upcoming events, we've got a whole heck of a lot of fundraisers and things that are happening at our amphitheater. I'll just mention a couple. We've got a Sandy and Friends Food Truck Festival and fundraising event this Friday at the Penfield Amphitheater from 4 to 8 p.m. We have our Mary Carriola Walk fundraiser this Sunday, the 17th at Veterans Memorial Park, which pretty much takes up the entire park, a wonderful event. We mentioned the disc golf tournament at Shadow Pines this upcoming weekend. For a town event, we have a Taste in the Blues chili cook-off and music event. That's Saturday, September 23rd from 12 to 3. We already have 6 chilies, and we're getting Jenny beer and some potential local ciders. So we're excited for that. And that also includes a dog's day out. So bring your dog to the event. There's different obstacles and treats and things like that, all at the Penfield Amphitheater on the 23rd. There's a suicide prevention walk fundraiser on Saturday, October 7th. We have Penfield Big Band monthly performances at the community center the first Tuesday of each month. It just started this past September, so the first Tuesday of every month, 7 to 9 p.m., there's dances with live music at the community center. And our Penfield Pops community band just restarted their rehearsals at the Bay Trail Band Room for practices. If anybody's interested in being a part of the community band, they have a new band leader, Allison Chipman, so we're excited to have that start back up and restart the group. If it's okay, I'm going to skip over the Clark Road Barns
Yeah,
to tie in.
Shree's our liaison, and I didn't get an update.
We're planning
from
on
her.
having another meeting in the upcoming weeks.
It's the 27th is the next meeting, and I'll be attending that as well.
Perfect. And really, the stage we're at is we're starting to come up with a rubric of how to grade the various different options for what to do with the barn, and then the group will decide based on that rubric, kind of feel it out, the weight of each, and then propose that to the board. But going on to the Parks and Recreation Master Plan Committee, that committee was just approved via town board at the last meeting on the 6th. We're hoping to start in the next couple weeks, as I'm going to reach out to the group. It's an in-house master plan where the town we don't consult out for the master plan itself, so we save some funds. But because of that, based on previous master plans that we've had, there's, the look at having a new potential community center with more space with, the school, busting at the seams with their gymnasiums and athletic fields and things like that. We are going to have a deeper dive into a community center. Basically just gathering data, gathering input at this point just for that master plan to have that information. Because before the recommendations were, yes, the town sees this need. Now is a little bit more of a deeper dive into, what potentially could it look like? In no way is it saying that there's going to be a new one or anything like that, but I really think for the master plan, after the last 3 or 4 recommending this deeper dive into the data will be an awesome thing that we get from the community and from the master plan committee itself. Another thing that's coming out of that is indoor recreation facilities, field spaces. There's places like indoor turf field houses and things like that that are around the area, nothing really in the area. I think that's going to be a big part of the master plan, just to look at, hey, what's out there? Is there a need on this side and stuff like that? Again, this is all just data gathering for the master plan, but these are our bigger focuses. The master plan committee will meet September, November, and we're hoping to have a community input meeting with basic questions that come out of the master plan for the community come to maybe December, January-ish, based on our timeline. We'll promote that through the recreation department, just to throw it out there for the community to come out and just answer, to really gather all of the facts and the data based on, and that'll be programming in the community center and just the various things through Parks and Recreation. And then we're hoping to have the master plan confirmed in the winter, spring of 2024. But it's my plan, as we do have some members of this committee that are going to be on the master plan advisory committee, but definitely have this committee involved and giving updates every month, and definitely looking for your input as a group to be a part of this master plan committee. So that's at least the plan moving forward, and I'll keep everyone updated at the next meeting.
Good update. That's a big project.
Yep, it's nice to plan for the future and have these every 5 years to really guide us as a town and the rec department and parks as well for what Tim and I and the staff do.
I do have one curiosity question regarding the summer programs. Seemed like every Tuesday was a rainout. How many concerts did you end up having?
I skipped over that portion and flew through it. Out of 11 concerts, we had to cancel 4 of them. We tried to reschedule them all. We had one date. It just didn't work. Bands are busy nowadays. But it makes it a little easier for scheduling next year, because we always usually give the guarantee to say, hey, you got rained out this year, you can perform next year. So from a scheduling standpoint, we already have 4 or 5 bands booked for next year. But yeah, it just was a Tuesday night thing where it would rain, and I'd be sitting over at the amphitheater ready to get ready, and the rain would come down and we'd have to cancel. But it was a good group effort, and a lot of people got those communications out there. But 2024, hopefully Tuesdays get skipped.
Okay, so that covers most of the agenda items. Other business, we have none. Held items we use to track open action items, and really the only open action item from the previous meeting was the recreation plan update that we just discussed. So I had a bunch of actions that I captured today. I'll include those in the notes, and we'll pick those up, follow up on those next meeting. No old business or new business. No public representation. So and the next meeting would be the second Tuesday of October, which is October 10th. So unless anyone has any other questions or comments, I think we can close the meeting. Okay,
Thank you.
meeting is closed. Thank you all very much. 7:08.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Yep.